Thank you so much for coming to Pilates. We are going to get started. I don't have anyone new, so I'm going to save you from my spiel. Go ahead and let's actually start on the mat today. And we're going to do some shoulder blade work. So aligning your body to the flat floor, that's what the nice benefit of floor is that our head, neck, spine, pelvis are all aligned. Your feet are hip distance apart. Let's start with our breathing. Inhale through the nose, exhale out through pursed lips. See how much exhale you can get out before you have to inhale again. Inhale and then exhale. And when you think you might be done exhaling, try to brace your abs, draw it in even more, and get a little more air out. Do that one more time. Inhale and exhale. All right, so I talked about some shoulder blade work. So usually when our arms are down low by the hips, our shoulder blades are in the correct place, as is our rib cage. Everything's in neutral. But when we start to lift our arms, sometimes our shoulder blades will separate from each other. And as we start to elevate the arms continually over the head, I know it's going toward the floor, but it's elevating in terms of relations to the head, that our rib cage pops up, which also affects our shoulder blades. So the goal here is we're going to be moving our arms through all these various positions, but maintaining neutral spine. So not arching the back and trying to keep the rib cage down. Inhale through the nose, arms to vertical. You can watch me for the first round if you need to, and then you want to keep your eye gaze on the ceiling so your neck stays aligned. Exhale. So basically as our arms lower towards the floor, not touching the floor, our back wants to arch. So if we exhale and really focus on possibly imprinting the lower back, you won't be arching your back. Inhale, back to vertical. Exhale, return. Let's try that again. Inhale, vertical. Exhale, biceps by the ears. Rib cage stays down. Imprinted spine as you exhale. Inhale to vertical again. And exhale, hands down by the hips. One more time. Inhale, arms. Fingertips are reaching to the ceiling, but the elbows are not locked. So there's a softness to your arms, softness to your elbows. Exhale as the softened arms are over by your ears. Again, you shouldn't feel movement in the rib cage or the spine. Inhale, back to that vertical. And we're going to stay here. From here, I want you to exhale, squeeze your shoulder blades down into the mat towards each other, called retraction. And then inhale, separate the shoulder blades, reaching the fingertips toward the ceiling. You should feel your shoulder blades come off the mat a little bit. Exhale, retract. Inhale, protract. This entire time that I'm moving my shoulder blades, I'm not bending or straightening my arms. My arms are just there, attached to my shoulders, and they are moving because they're attached to the shoulders. But really, the only movement that's happening are those shoulder blades. They slide towards each other. Inhale, they slide away from each other. Exhale towards each other, retraction. And then finally come to neutral. So right in between the two. So we're not pressing the shoulder blades into the mat, nor are we pulling them off the mat. Okay, we're going to try to maintain neutral scapula, as well as neutral spine, neutral rib cage, neutral pelvis, and we're going to scissor the arms. So one goes to the ear and one goes down by the hip. Neither of them are on the floor. Okay, that's the exhale. Inhale as they pass each other through vertical. Exhale again, scissor the other way. Inhale. Exhale. Keeping my abdominals engaged, maybe even imprinted, it's up to you. You can be in neutral though. We're trying to move our arms without disturbing the rest of our body. Inhale through vertical, exhale to scissor in each direction. Inhale and exhale. Okay, continuing this as you push your hips up into a shoulder bridge. So hopefully your feet are still hip distance apart. We haven't moved them. Lift those hips up and then continue to scissor those arms. Squeezing the glutes, drawing the abs down. Couple more. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Good. Roll your spine back down to the mats. And you can bring your hands down to the hips. Go ahead and imprint that lower back and lift the legs to tabletop. Just a little bit of scapular work today, and then we'll go into the rest of our warm up here. So our legs from tabletop, our knees are 90 degrees. So I'm going to tap the toes out one at a time. Exhaling as you lower, inhaling to lift. Exhale, inhale. Here we are definitely imprinted because both our legs are off the floor. One more time on each side. You can keep your hands on the floor if you'd like, or if you wanted, you can raise your arms for to the ceiling. Sorry, I know I said one more. So now we're going to do both legs, and this is more challenging to lower all 10 toes at the same time, especially with your arms off the ground. So feel free to try this version. Shoulder blades in neutral, or you can get those hands back to the floor. A couple options here. A final option, before we get too tired, is to move the arms towards the ears as the toes go down. Now just pay a lot of attention here because the chances of the legs creating an arch and the arms creating a popped rib cage is pretty high. So you want to pay attention to what your torso is doing as you lower the arms and the legs. And if you don't feel any movements, and everything's staying imprinted, rib cage stays down, then you can take your limbs through the full range of motion. All right, otherwise you can take partial range, halfway down. All right, last one here. Return hands down by the hips. Drop those heels. Good. Ab prep. Nod the chin, lift the head, neck, and shoulder blades. Here you should feel separation of the shoulder blades, and that's because you are creating spine flexion and arms are reaching forward. Look at your knees, protect the neck. Exhale, lower. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, lift, tucking the chin. Inhale, hold, and exhale, lower. Inhale, exhale. Just until the shoulder blades are off the mat. Inhale. Holding that imprint, exhale, release. 2 more times. And last time. Now we're going to go to our hundreds. So you can lift your legs to tabletop. If you like, keep them on the ground. Straight version. Diagonally straight version. Now the chin, reach and pump those arms. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 10, inhale. Exhale, 20, inhale. Exhale, 30, inhale. Exhale, 40, inhale. Exhale, 50, halfway done. Exhale, 60, inhale. Exhale. 80. 90. 100. bringing the knees in, always in control. And we flip over. We'll do the 3 versions of breaststroke prep. So that'd be forearms on the ground, arms reaching back, and then forearms stacked. Hand stacked. Keeping the chin tucked, inhale. Lift the top parts of your chest and rib cage. Keeping the chin tucked under, head and neck aligned with the spine. Exhale, lower. Another way to think about it is that the back of your neck is always lengthened. If you look up, it's not lengthened and there's wrinkles, right? So we want a wrinkle-free back of the neck. There's nothing wrong with wrinkles. We just don't want them on the back of the neck. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. We're going to keep the tops of the feet on the mat for now. You can engage the legs though. So feel free to squeeze the quadriceps, squeeze the glutes. That'll help stabilize the spine. Let's take our hands down by the hips. Here you'll feel shoulder blade retraction. So your shoulder blades squeeze towards each other. This is opposite of the ab crunch we did earlier, where as we flexed our spine, the shoulder blades separated from each other when the fingertips reached toward the toes. So this is the opposite of spine flexion. It's called spine extension. Very great for your postural muscles. Good, and then the final version, we stack our hands under the forehead. So ideally your shoulder blades should be in neutral position here as we lift the arms and chest as one unit. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. You might feel your leg muscles activate a little more here. But we're still going to try to keep them on the mat. All right, last one. Okay, hands down and sit back. I think at the beginning I said we're going to do 5 of each, and I am pretty sure I did more than 5 of each for every exercise. Okay, we're going to do a plank. We're going to do a high plank, and with some knee pulls or leg pulls. So the wrists, they're underneath the shoulders. Reach one heel back. I tend to feel my calves feel stretched there because I have pretty tight calves. So once we're in our plank position, our arms are vertical, the hips are about the same height as the shoulders. I'm going to try to keep that neutral spine as much as possible and pull one knee in towards the chest. It doesn't need to touch the chest, we're just pulling it towards the chest, but the rest of your body should really maintain the same position. There's enough range of motion in the hips that allows you to pull your knees in without disturbing your pelvis. Exhale, knee in, inhale, lengthen through the heel. Exhale, other knee in, inhale to lengthen through the heel. As you lengthen the leg, think about squeezing your quadriceps and reaching your heel to the back of the room. So it's not just straightening the legs. You want to think about really activating some muscles there. And hopefully your abdominals are nice and engaged the whole time. Your eye gaze is on the floor between your thumbs, strong arms. Last time, finishing up on the second leg here. Okay, come on down. Anytime I do planks, you can always do it on your elbows. However, there's some exercises like that one that you can't do on your elbows because there's no space for your knees. So if you're doing a plank on your elbows, due to any wrist sensitivities, you can always skip the leg movements. All right, back onto our body, back. Oh, normally I do half rollbacks. I am going to get into that position, but sort of in a different way. So here, we're on the ground. Your palms are down here by the hips. And I want you to crunch up until you're propped on your elbows. So it kind of looks like this. Here's the crunch, and there's your elbows. All right, so figure out where you want your elbows to be so that you feel stable, because if it's too far forward, you're gonna fall back down. Palms face down here, because we are gonna be using the arms, the palms to press into the floor. Lift one leg to tabletop and then the other. Notice that I just collapsed. We're gonna try not to collapse. The chest is up, but the spine is imprinted. This right here, see me arch? You don't wanna arch. I hope this makes sense. You don't want to drop chest, you want to lift the chest, but you want an imprinted lower back. Does that make sense? All right, so we're going to extend the leg and bend. Extend and bend. So you are going to feel a little bit stretched nice right here in your sort of shoulder area. But really keep drawing the abdominals down. That protects the lower back. Even though we're not flush against the ground right now to truly imprint the lower back, you can still be in a imprinted position, right? With that lower abdominal area tucked. Now, if this feels pretty challenging to you, stay right here. Otherwise, you can reach out on a diagonal. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now, the nice thing about reaching on the diagonal is it gives us a little leeway to come off of our elbows. It's pretty challenging to come off the elbow if your legs are coming straight up. Okay, so the next move is as I extend the legs on the diagonal, I'm going to engage my triceps, press into my palms, and lift into a little V, and then come back down. Exhale. Inhale. This is kind of like a tricep dip. Exhale. Inhale. Now, transferring your leg weight and extending the legs transfers the weight so that it can come off your arms. And again, if you went vertical, I don't even think you can come off your elbows. Okay? Looking good. Next level. See if we can take the hands off the floor. Lift right here. Now at this point, if you need to bend your knees, so you can find that balance on the tailbone, bend your knees. Return the hands. If you want, straighten your legs again or keep your knees bent. And slowly rock back onto your elbows. So we don't want to just fall to the elbows. Exhale, extend legs, press, reach, arms down. Gently go into your tricep dip, rock back, and then if you hopefully kept your legs out there, if you can, pull the knees in for the final little bit. All right, let's try this a couple more times with the arm lifts. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, extend and press. Inhale, arms. Exhale, return. Inhale, bend those elbows. Exhale, pull those knees in. Take a breath in to prepare. Reach. Keep alternating the breath. Don't worry about too much whether you're inhaling or exhaling at the right time. Everything's hard anyways. Don't you want to just exhale the whole time? Let's do this one more time. Okay. You can go ahead and lower all the way down. Relax the abs. Take the feet to the ground and flip over. We're going to lift our legs. So separate them, first of all. And stack your hands under your forehead. Lift the right leg. Lift the left leg. One at a time. Legs are straight. We're trying to peel those quads right off the floor. Maximal glute engagement. And if you find that as you're lifting your legs, there's a lot of tension in your neck and shoulders, remind yourself to loosen up there. Because when we're lifting the legs, and only the legs, you shouldn't have a lot of tension in the neck, shoulder area. Sometimes by simply contracting one part of our body, the other parts of our body want to tense up. And our goal here in Pilates is to increase the awareness of different muscles in our body and not tensing everything up at the same time. the first thing is being aware, right? Okay. So we're going to continue lifting the legs one at a time. We're going to add the upper body. So stacked arms, push still under the forehead, lift arms and chest as we did before with that resistance. If this is too much for your spine, you can take your arms down here. Then you don't have to lift the weight of your arms if they're not under your forehead. But regardless, we're lifting one leg at a time, so you can focus on that one leg. Squeeze that butt cheek. And the other reason why I am intentionally picking one leg at a time is because a lot of times it's easier to just squeeze everything and lift everything at the same time. So I want you to focus on kind of relaxing one leg, taking it out of the equation, as you only lift one leg. All right. Let's do 2 more times, so 1 more on each leg. And you can take a stretch. And of course, you can always take a stretch at any time you like. The spine muscle is quite delicate and there's no need to, we want to work it, but we never want to overwork it. All good? Okay. So it's time for the ab series. I think I might have only taught one Pilates class where I didn't do the ab series. All right, hugging the knees in. The ab series is an interesting series because some people do, 4 exercises for it. Some do 5, some do 6, some do 7. And I have my core exercises, but one of the ab series starts with rolling like a ball. So what is rolling like a ball? First, you want to create the curve in your spine like a ball and start rocking by using your abdominals, your rectus abdominis, crunch. Create the motion of rocking forward and up by crunching. So for some, they start the ab series with rolling like a ball. We're warming up the abdominals with the crunch. I would say it is 95% abs, 5% momentum. Holding onto my shins, not moving my legs. See, notice if I kick out like this, I don't have to use my abs. So we're really creating this tight little ball, holding onto my shin. Nothing is changing about my body other than the curvature of my spine. All right, might be a little hard to see, but right around here, I deepen the curve. I do that crunch motion in order to get myself back up. Because if I fell back like a ball and I didn't use my abs, I would kind of stay stuck right here. But notice there's a little rocking motion. So I take advantage of that little rocking motion, contract at the correct time to bring myself back up. So let's go from rolling like a ball into our single leg stretch. Let's do 3 more of these. Crunch here for 3, 2, and last one. From here, grab one leg, extend the other out, slowly lower onto just your back, your lower back. Keep the shoulder blades lifted if you can, and then switch. Inhale, switch, exhale. Inhale, exhale into the single leg stretch. At any point, you can put your head, neck, and shoulder blades down on the ground. Gently guiding the knee in, not yanking it, and extending on any angle you'd like. If you want to flex the feet, feel free to do that. Flowing into the obliques, taking the hands behind the head, adding a little rotation. Remember, we're not going to over-rotate. We want to work the obliques in the most effective way possible. We're going to keep our elbows out wide. And we're going to not let either of the shoulder blades touch the ground. One is going to get a little lower than the other. One is a little higher than the other, but neither of them touch the ground. Continuing to breathe for 4, 3, 2, flowing into double leg stretch. So knees together, legs straight. Knees bent, legs straight. We even call this the bend and extend. Head, neck, and shoulders. If you need a break, bring it down. Sometimes your neck is okay because you just had your hands behind the head. Here's another option though, because typically the hands go outside the knees. What you can do is bring the hands behind the head, support the neck, and then reach from there. Bend. This is a little more challenging to the abs, but it does give that neck support because instead of taking the arm weight to your knees, the arm weight goes right into your abs. Right? Your abs have to do more work here, especially if your head, neck, and shoulders are off the ground. Last 3. Exhale. 2. Last 1. The legs are straight, and we bring them up to vertical for the scissors. You can, of course, go into scissors from a bent knee tabletop position. So I'm exhaling on the split, on the scissor. I'm inhaling, therefore, during the switching of the legs. For 4, 3. I am guiding my legs towards my head. Another option that's more challenging is to remove the arms, but I'm tired, so I'm not gonna do it. Now, this last exercise is also something you might sometimes see in an ab series, and a lot of times I don't teach in the ab series, but it is the double leg lowering. So we did that earlier in the warm-up with our knees bent. So if your head, neck, and shoulders are off the floor, you have 2 options for the arms. One is straight forward, the other is here behind the head. And of course, final option is head down, shoulder blades down, and the hands are not under your butts, but they are pressing into the floor. So remember double leg lowering from the warm-up like this. My thigh bones are moving within the hip socket joint, but now this time my legs are just straight. Last 2. Last 1. I'm exhaling as I lower because I want to reinforce that imprint. Inhale down. Okay, and that I would say is the longest ab series because it's taking into account the 2 exercises that are on the beginning and the end of ab series that are sometimes dropped. And then the exercises of single leg stretch, double obliques, double leg stretch, scissors, those 4 are often seen in the ab series. And those are the core ones. Core, no pun intended, in our core class here. The core exercises of the ab series that I do frequently. And hopefully you are totally ready to do some spine work. Okay, so swimming. Taking the arms and legs to the extremes of the, no, not the extremes. We're just going to the corners. You don't want to go too wide, actually. You gotta lift right arm, left leg. Lift left arm, right leg, and then I'm gonna lift all 4. Now, if it doesn't feel good for you to lift all 4, then continue the alternating of the opposite limbs. Inhale, lift right arm, left leg, exhale, lower. Inhale, lift left arm, right leg, everything straight, and lower, and then lift all 4 limbs, and lower. Repeats. So sets of 3s here. Do what works for you. You're gonna feel your shoulder blades slide a little bit toward the spine, so a little bit of retraction. It might not feel like a retraction though, just because you're moving 1 arm at a time instead of both. Okay, 1 more set of 3 here. Okay, and sit back and stretch. We're going to move into some plank work again. When we get into our, so I'm going to show it to you on the elbows and also on the wrists, and then you can decide which one you want to try. The reason it's a little difficult on the elbow is because we are rotating and it might not feel comfortable on the elbow. But let's try. So we're on our elbows are underneath the shoulders. And here's the critical part. You need your feet wide. So I would go a little wider than hip distance apart. Okay, and the reason being is we're going to lift an arm to transition into the side plank. Now, typically, you can go to the side plank like this. Pop, there you are. But we're going to try a little bit more challenge to the abdominals. This is the front arm is the one I'm going to lift. I'm going to reach the arm forward and then up. So it's the challenge of reaching the arm forward, lifting it off the floor before you rotate. That creates a lot more abdominal work. Okay, and then can we reverse that? So you want your feet apart, come back onto your toes, your feet are wide, reach the arms forward, square up the shoulders, put the elbows down. How do we do? Option to do it on your knees. So let's switch sides. With the knee version, just quick FYI is arms here, here, back to the knees, and here. Okay, so let's do the other side. Feet are wide, reach the arms first, try not to rotate yet, and then rotates. I'm on the edges of my feet. Okay, I'm gonna come back onto my toes. I'm gonna square up, not just my hips, but also my shoulders, and then bring the elbow back. All right, take a break. I'm gonna go into my elbows. I'm already on my elbows. I'm going to my wrist, and you can also do this on your knees, like I showed you before. I'm gonna do it on my toes, and just feel like, I don't know, sometimes this motion being on your elbows might not feel comfortable for your elbows. You do work a little more arm muscles, by the way, when you are doing it on your wrists. Feet wide, front arm reach, open up, keep breathing, square up to the floor, hands down. Make sure you're in a good plank before you start, right? You don't want your butt already up before you even start the movement, because then it's really hard to get into that side plank. Reach your back arm forward, open up, back to square to the floor, and return. All right, check it out. We're gonna do one more set. Pick your elbows, pick your knees, pick your wrist, whatever. We're just gonna do one more, one on each side. And I'm holding it just like one breath, one inhale, one exhale. So I'm not just like going up into it quickly and coming right back down. But you decide if you want to go through it a little more quicker, you can do that. I'm gonna do this on my wrist. Feet wide. So breathe, whatever works for you. I take one inhale, one exhale. I come to the side plank, I take one inhale, I take an exhale, come back, take another inhale, exhale. Admittedly, sometimes my inhale and exhales are a little faster. And then the other side. And return. Okay, well done. So we're gonna go into working on our outer thighs. Instead of lying on the mat today, we're going to be in our kneeling position. If that bothers your knees, you can lay on your side and do the leg lifts with us. Now the thing about doing it on your knees, I like to fold up my mat a little bit for some extra cushioning. I'm still trying to create that straight edge though, so that I know I'm moving exactly in one plane. I use the mat for guidance. Now, if you are doing this on your side, the one thing that's different between kneeling, legless, and the one lying on your side is that on one side, I just do a ton, in case you haven't noticed. But when I'm doing it on my knees, I'm flipping side to side because it's so much more challenging and more tiring when we're on our knees. So it gives our legs a break. That's the main difference. I'm gonna tilt to my my left, which is your right. We're gonna do both sides, so it doesn't matter. So as I tip, I'm gonna tip in the plane of this mat, so this imaginary glass pane. My foot, my thighs, my abdominals, my chest, my face, my hands, everything is against this flat plane. Here is a piked position. We're trying to avoid the piked position. And then the other opposite is like to shove your hips through the glass, but I can't do that. It's harder to do that. Top arm reaches up, so you stay lifted out of the shoulder. And Neutral foot position. So kneecaps and all 5 toenails. And I talk about 5 toenails because the pinky gets left behind when we externally rotate. So let me see your pinky toes. And we lift, lift, lower. Alternate the breath. Exhale, inhale. Raised abs. Abs are now stabilizing. Outer thigh working. Maintain that neutral leg rotation. And then your bottom leg is stabilizing too. And you know why people pike back? Because it's easier. That's why I talk about keeping everything flat against that imaginary plane. Keep the glutes engaged, gently squeezing the hips forward. You don't have to lift to about hip height or parallel. If you can lift a little higher without externally rotating, go for it. But watch that external rotation. Now pulse it at the top for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. It's pretty challenging, so we really don't have to do too many. And again, the stabilizing leg might be feeling some cramped work too, because it is doing work. Other side. So I think I've emphasized the flat plane enough. So let's focus on the the neutral rotation here. Lift and lower. Abs tight, glutes engaged, and the outer thighs are working. Again, you're trying to lift your leg as high as you can, at least aiming for hip height or parallel, but not at the expense of externally rotating. Give me 2 more and then we'll pulse for 8. All right, let's pulse for 8. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, we're not done yet. We're just going back to the first slide. Is anyone in dire needs of a stretch? We'll definitely stretch at the end of this, but sometimes people need to stretch in between. Okay, this time, I know I talked about this imaginary plane, but we're gonna kick through the plane with the leg. Not too far though. So if you can find parallel or as close to parallel as possible, slowly kick through the plane, not because you piked. So get those hip bones against that glass, that fake imaginary glass. Bring the leg forward without moving your hips at all, and then bring it back. Maybe slightly behind, an extra little hip extension. But the main point is that you are swinging or moving your leg forward and back at the range of motion you've decided that doesn't allow your pelvis to move. So we want everything still, except for the leg that goes forward and back at about parallel heights or hip heights. So move slowly, because if you move too fast, I can tell you what will happen. This is what will happen. Your whole body starts to spaz. Let's try about 3 more. Slowly forward. Abs tight. Top arm reaching. You're basically stabilizing with all the rest of the muscles in your body. Okay, I think that's the last one. If not, I'm calling it because I'm in so much pain. Oh. All right, am I supposed to say that out loud? I'm supposed to pretend like I'm really strong and nothing affects me, right? Just kidding. Okay, so set yourself up. Lift your leg to a height you think you can maintain. If in doubt, move slower. It just gives you a better workout. But really, if you move too fast and your torso starts to sway, it defeats the purpose of the exercise. You can also do this lower. I mean, it's actually just as hard to do with your leg a little less than parallel. Give me 3 more. Make sure you're breathing. Last 2. Last 1. Okay. Oof. Let's stretch. Come on down. Whichever leg hurts more, you can stretch it first. Ankle over the kneecap, or not the kneecap, just above your knees on your thighs. It's almost March and I haven't felt like removing these lights. I don't know. They may stay on year round. We'll see. Either that, I have to repaint my wall. And I just don't feel like repainting my wall. So switch legs if you haven't switched already. And then we're lying on our backs. We're going to go into some glute exercises. Now, it might feel like we just did glutes, but we didn't. We did our outer thighs, okay? And that is great for lateral stabilization of the pelvis area. So here, this is direct hip extension. And we're going to make circles today. So if I lift my leg and keep everything still and make a small circle within the hip socket joints, I should be able to make a circle that's about the size of a cantaloupe without disturbing my pelvis. Now feel free to make the circle smaller. We're going to do this and just split our butt in the air. All right, ready? Good. 3 times in each direction, but very slow. There's 1. And there's 2. Again, about the size of a cantaloupe. You could try to make it bigger, but just be aware that, you know, your butt's in the air and you might completely fall over. This is different from the circles you make when your butt is on the ground. Trying to keep the leg straight. You can flex the foot if you want, draw circles with your heel. All right, bend the knee, place the foot on the ground and lower. So we've done single leg circles, right, like this before, and you can always make a bigger circle without disturbing the rest of your body because you have most of your body on the floor, and the floor gives that stability. I only had the other leg up because I was demonstrating the hips, this hip circling, but let's just go ahead and be consistent. Straighten your other leg, push the hips up, make sure your right and left hips are at the same height, right and left hip bones, and then make your circles. 3 in each direction, very slow. Good, and reversing for 3. Good. Bend the knees, face foot down. One of the challenges of doing vertical leg circles is hamstring tightness. So to take out the hamstring tightness, we're going to make circles on the diagonal, about 45 degrees. The difference with that is you won't feel the hamstring tightness, but you're going to feel sort of more challenge in the abs. So lift your hips up first. Check that right and left hip are same height. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the abs. Look at where your knees are. Try to keep the knees next to each other. And then make your circle. So the knees are always going to be very close to each other, as opposed to something like this. It's too big. Okay? 6 circles in each direction on the diagonal. Take out the hamstring tightness. Quads are still engaged. And it is a little harder to keep the hips up. Why? Because the leg's on the diagonal wants to pull my hip down. Reverse, if you haven't yet. Don't be afraid to use your arms. Press into the floor. Bend the knees. Your knees are already next to each other, so when you bend the knee, the foot should be on the floor. And then we lower the butt for a quick break. And then the other side. Push the hips up. Extend the other leg. And circle for 6. 3 in each direction. Reverse. 3, 2, and 1. Good, bend the knees. Check your hips and lower. Lengthen your entire body. Stretch your arms overhead. Allow your ribcage to pop for a moment. Yeah, so we're going to do teasers from the floor. The main thing to remember about teasers from the floor is the timing of it. You want to, so go ahead and brace your abs again. You'll start to lift your arms. You'll lift the head. You'll lift the shoulders. And only after the shoulder blades are lifted do you even attempt to lift the legs. So if you lift the legs sooner than that, you're going to have a lot more difficulty getting up. All right? So am I stuck here? I am kind of stuck here because you need a little bit of momentum for the teaser. So here we go. Inhale, arms, head, shoulders, and I pull my knees in. We do okay? Good. And then we're going to open up. Reaching the heels away, reaching the low back to the mats. Notice right now as my heel hits the floor that I'm back to that start position where the head, neck, and shoulders are up. My head, neck, and shoulders go down for the last part, as well as comes up for the first part. Make it smooth. Arms, head, shoulders, fold. Inhale, hold. Exhale, reverse. Unfold. Heel and back hit, and then shoulders, arms. Again, inhale, prepare, head, neck, shoulders. Exhale. It's okay if you use a little momentum on the way up. There's not going to be any momentum used on the way down. This is where your abs really, really, really do work. Try to go down as slowly as you can. Let's do 2 more. If you want to keep your legs straight, go for it. Head, neck, shoulders, fold. Inhale, hold. Exhale, unfold. Your arms reaching forward plays a huge role in helping get you up. If our arms were not forward and were instead up, it would be a lot more challenging. In fact, I don't know, I wonder if I can do it. Inhale, arms. No, I have to bring my arms forward. It's impossible. Inhale. Is that the last one? Is that what I said? Okay. That's what I said. All right, let's get into our quadruped position and just start to sort of wrap things up here. With the wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, extend the back leg, the front arm. Find that neutral, fingertips reaching away from the toes. Take one more breath in and out, and return the limbs underneath the joints, the correct joints. Front leg, back arm, 2 breaths. Return wrists underneath shoulders, knees under the hips, and go ahead and exhale, rounding the spine. Feel the separation of the shoulder blades, the tucking of the pelvis. If you had a tail, the tail would be tucked under or between your legs right now. Now the opposites. I lift my chest. Shoulder blades might squeeze a little bit towards each other. Try not to hyperextend your neck. Remember what I said about wrinkles in the back of your neck? We're still trying to avoid that. And then if you had a tail, your tail will be nice and high right now. Exhale. Round spine. This is spine flexion. Inhale, spine extension. Go ahead and sit sort of on what we call pretzel. Not sure what we call, no, we don't call this pretzel. I think there's a really, I think they call it this mermaid, but we're gonna call it mer people. Because I'm trying. Reach. This is the easier side. And then this is sort of, not necessarily challenging, but you feel more of a stretch just because of the way that you're bending. Because normally your body goes head, sorry, that's not your head, feet to toe
feet to head like this and all in one line. So when you're basically trying to get your head over to where your feet are, your body's not used to that. I can't even speak anymore. I don't know anatomy anymore. There's your feet. It flows that you would reach this way toward your head. Your head is away from your feet. Maybe you feel a stretch, maybe you don't. You should definitely feel a stretch here. You can like grab your shin here and almost pull yourself into the stretch. Well done, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. That was hopefully fun, despite it being challenging. And if you have any questions, please let me know.